Greetings, everyone. Happy Friday the 13th. As you see, our program is going to be about the number 13 in Judaism. Steve Goodman has prepared a very fun lecture. Don't be too scared. Should we turn the lights on, or is that too scary? Yeah, you might see it better if the lights are off now.
Totally, if you have a dimming here.
Oh no, these always stay on. It's just the others.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, and June is doing that better? Yeah. Okay, thank you, June. And turn your cell phones off.
Yeah, I'm a granddaughter.
All right, it's 4 o'clock.
High school.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming today on Friday the 13th to the presentation. And what's interesting was some quick background. A few weeks ago, it occurred to me, I saw, hey, there are 2 Friday the 13ths coming up, and we know that, turned down semi-creepy music. We know that 13 has kind of a superstitious quality in the general public out there. It has for a long time. And yet 13 has a positive kind of image in Judaism. What's the story there? Why? Why do we have 2 different directions going on? So I didn't know if there was a story there or not. So I started doing research, using Google, using ChatGPT, and I discovered more and more. I discovered a lot of stuff I didn't know, which is amazing because I don't have a rich history in Judaism. And I grew up with a cultural Jewish background, not a religious Jewish background at all. And so I learned a lot of things, and about Christianity too. And it all fits together, and I hope it's fun and we learn something out of this too. So let's begin. So we'll be talking about today. Okay, hold on, we're going to scroll back up to the beginning is a good place to start. Whoops. Yeah. How to get rid of that? There you go. Okay. So the question is, why is 13 often considered unlucky but embraced in Judaism? Well, first of all, 12 tends to mean completeness. There are 12 months in a year, 12 hours in a day, 12 hours at night. There are 12 zodiac signs, a lot of things with 12. There are 12 days of Christmas, and there are also the 12 tribes of Israel. And since this is a Jewish-based group, let's take a look at that for a second. What are the 12 tribes of Israel? Well, they're descendants of Jacob's 12 sons, which formed the original structure of the Israelite people. If anybody has any questions or comments along the way, feel free to jump right in. We have a microphone sitting up there just aching to be used. So 13 really kind of breaks the pattern. It's one more than that complete feeling. It's disrupted, kind of unsettling. 13, what's going on with that? Why did 13 become feared? Well, it's cultural, developed over time through shared stories way back hundreds of years ago. It's not universal, and it's certainly not Jewish. One of the places it started, the Last Supper. And this is one of the classic paintings. A ton of paintings were done back then of the Last Supper. Now, what happened at the Last Supper? There were 13 people at the Last Supper. The final meal Jesus shared with his 12 disciples before his arrest. And during the meal, he announced that one of the 12 was going to betray him, Judas, who was called the unlucky 13th guest. So European storytellers expanded on that into a broader warning. If 13 people sit at a table, one will die within the next year. Kind of creepy stuff. This story repeated for centuries. Now, across medieval Europe, the superstition took hold. The Last Summer, as I said, it was painted so many times and retold in history and stories that it cemented 13 as being unlucky in Western Christian culture. Banquets, royal courts, they took the idea very, very seriously back then. Hosts would add an extra diner to avoid having a group of 13. 13, get Fred in here, we gotta get him in, meet 14. And the rumor was there were professional 14th guests that were rumored to exist, that were available for hire. So who knew this stuff? I didn't. So basically, this fear of 13 came from stories. Popular culture made it something frightening.
I don't hear.
What's that?
It's hard to hear.
Now, how many people still see elements like this in hotels and apartments? You'll see sometimes 13 is skipped. Airlines skip through 13. Because some people still feel funny about that. Now, in the 60s, there was a band called the 13th Floor Elevators. And I've heard of them. I took a listen. It's pretty scary stuff. But there was a band that took on that name back then, in the mid-60s. So at this point, how many people here are still somewhat suspicious about 13? You know, it's a little bit, right? Not too much. A little bit. So I looked up to see how many people are at this point. Today, about 10% of people take it seriously enough to consider it unlucky or avoid it in this country. To most, it's kind of harmless, it's just a fun superstition, but still to some people, it's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna get an operation, do I have a choice of the 13th or the 14th?
Yeah.
Make it the 14th, just to be safe. But we're gonna learn today why, among Jews, 13 is not a bad thing, it's not something to be feared. So why was Friday seen as unlucky? Well, Good Friday is the day among Christians when Jesus was crucified, which was believed to be a Friday during the week of Passover. And this helped to shape a whole thing in Europe about how Fridays were unlucky too. So how did the two come together? Well, you had an uneasy number, 13, kind of day of week, it had a bad association now, and it ended up being a lasting superstition. Just word spread, it was all stories that did this back then. You didn't have mass media back in the medieval days. And in modern culture, it really amplified. You had newspapers early on, then you had movies like the Friday the 13th movie series that really said fear was entertainment. Now, in Judaism, things went in the opposite direction. In a lot of ways, 13 represents responsibility, faith, mercy, unity, and social milestones. The biggest one is the bar mitzvah, where at age 13, a Jewish boy becomes a bar mitzvah. And we always said, get bar mitzvah. But apparently the official terminology is you become a bar mitzvah, which means son of the commandment. Becoming responsible for the commandments, may read from the Torah, participate fully in services. Now, in recent decades, you have, I didn't know this, that it's age 12 when officially a Jewish girl can become a bat mitzvah, daughter of the commandment. I always thought it was 13, but officially it's 12. Anybody here have a bat mitzvah of girls in their families? A little bit, yeah? Or was it a 12 or 13?
12.
They figured that girls mature earlier than boys. Is where that came from. Mm-hmm.
I had a woman on this at 30.
Now, another example of 13 was Maimonides' principles, the 13 fundamentals of Jewish faith. Now, Rambam, I'd never heard Rambam before. What Rambam is Rabbi Ben Moshe Maimon. So that's where that comes from, what he was known as. But the 13 principles of faith, where that God exists, God is one and unique, God is incorporeal, which means not a human person, eternal, prayer is directed to God alone, the words of the prophets are true, and to any Simon Garfunkel fans, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. But that's a different story entirely. That Moses' prophecies are true. The written Torah and oral Torah were given to Moses. There'll be no other Torah. God knows the thoughts and deeds of men, rewarding the good, punishing the wicked. The Messiah will come and the dead will be resurrected. So these 13. Why 13? Why did they come up with just 13? Not 12, not 15? Don't know, but that's what we've got. Now, the custom these days is still for many congregations to recite these in a slightly more poetic form every day in shuls where they have morning prayers in the synagogue. Then we've also got the 13 attributes of mercy. How many people were aware of the 13 attributes of mercy before this? Because I wasn't. I'd never heard of them before. Anybody else aware of that concept? It hasn't spread around, but this is a big thing. Basically, these describe God as compassionate, forgiving, and it's recited during the high holidays. Now, the Kabbalistic approach to this is to compassion before a person sins, after a person sins. I guess not while a person is sinning. That's a just thought of that. Mighty in compassion God is, to give all creatures according to their need. Merciful, gracious, if viewing kindness in distress, slow to anger. Kindness, truth, giving kindness to thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, sin, and pardon. A lot of good stuff. And these are the this is things which we should know about. But this is what the feeling is that God is doing as far as having mercy to the Jewish people, and really for all people. Now, something interesting I learned is a spiritual connection. So I've got this little beer here. Hasidic teachings connect the beard to these attributes, viewing the beard as a conduit for God's blessing, and a physical manifestation of the link between a person's thoughts and actions. So you have basically all the guys, all the rabbis and Orthodox Jewish men have beards. The longer the better, because it's seen as a connection to God. I had no idea. Now, an interesting, cool numerical insight when it comes to 13. There is something called, and let me get the pronunciation correct because I can hardly see it. Where did it go? Gematria, which is kind of like numerology, where every Hebrew letter has a numerical value. What's interesting about this? Words can be added up like equations. Jewish thinkers have apparently used this for centuries as a teaching tool to link ideas through numbers. So first you have echad, which is the Hebrew word for one. When you look at each of the 3 Hebrew letters in it, they equal 13 by the official numbers assigned to each Hebrew letter. So Adonai Echad means the Lord is one. 13 becomes symbolically linked with the unity and the oneness of God. Then you have Ahava, which means love in Hebrew, which also equals 13. 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 1. The 4 letters in Ahava. So unity and love share the same number. And this is how it gets to that way. And I don't recall ever hearing about this. Has anyone else been aware of this stuff at all previously? Yeah? So true unity equals love. Jewish teaching that flows from this is simple and powerful. True unity is achieved through love. Nice thought. In mystical and ethical Jewish writings, this becomes a guide for relationships. Love unifies people. Unity is tied into the divine oneness. And therefore love is a way of replicating, getting closer, imitating God. It's a very good thought to have when it comes to 13. It gives you an entirely different perspective about the importance of 13. So basically, when people act with love, they create oneness. That's why love and one share the number 13. Interesting stuff. In summary, in Western superstition, 13 has always meant disruption and bad luck. In Judaism, it's really growth, mercy, responsibility, unity, and love. It's pretty interesting. So, basically then we can all truly say, Happy Friday the 13th. It's not something we have to be afraid of. In fact, we can embrace it. And all of us who are of the Jewish faith, or interested in the Jewish faith, or whatever, we can embrace that as being a positive, as opposed to a negative. So even if you have a fear of 13 overall, or superstition, you gotta push that aside and have something better and bigger to embrace and say, that's just superstition. We got something real here that's been around for centuries that we can embrace as being better than that. And that's about it at this point. Anybody have any questions or comments or? Thank you. And one more thing about this, it's something very important. This was just a thought I had about this, and I thought, is there a connection here? Is there something to tell? When I did a little bit of research, just digging around on the internet, I found, hey, there is a story here that people might want to see. I put together this fancy presentation. Doesn't have to be. If any you think of something that's Jewish related, and that you don't know about, it can be something you really do know about, that's easy. But if it's something that you wonder about, you can very easily look up some stuff, and you just jot down some things and speak. It doesn't have to be a fancy presentation like this. And if you get excited about it and say, hey, this is cool, I didn't know this, I'd like to share this with people, that's what this is all about. That's the whole point of the club. And whether it's a video we find about a famous painter who was Jewish or anything else, that's good. Or just a topic that you're interested in and say, I'd like to share this and share what I just found out. And, you know, it can be whatever topic at all. Yes?
Yeah. I have no interest in numerology or anything like that. And I'm primarily a secular Jew, but somehow I've always, and I don't know where it came from, I value the number 13. And I don't think it's because my birthday happens to be on the 13th day of March. Somehow it has some significance for me, and I don't know why.
It's a prime number. I think that's really important.
And for
It's
those of us
not
who,
divisible.
yeah, for those of us who it's been a while since school days, explain what a prime number is.
It's not divisible, as far as I know. I know nothing. I'm not a mathematician.
So it stands alone by itself. It can't be
divided.
It's solid. Interesting.
I was on the way back from the college pool, going swimming this morning, and I suggested for the passengers, some of the residents, to come tonight because of Friday the 13th and the fear of Friday. And Suzanne, who you know is the head of the dulcimers, one of the fine dulcimer players, said, Friday the 13th is not, I'm not afraid of it. My daughter is birthday on Friday the 13th of March. And so there's one point. There's another person with Friday the 13th. It also is tonight, and tonight is Shabbat. And we are going to celebrate Shabbat with the lighting of candles. And when Friday the 13th falls on Friday, it surely is not an unhappy day. It's the beginning of the Sabbath. And we're here together as friends, here to celebrate the beginning of Shabbat. So definitely, it's not, we shouldn't be dangerous and afraid of today.
And there's another one coming up next month. Because you've only got 28 days to February, so next month, it's another Friday the 13th. It doesn't happen that often.
Steve, I really enjoyed your presentation. I just wondered in your research if you found anything about other cultures, like Asian cultures or Southeast Asia, Indian cultures, and their preference for certain numbers.
I did, but hold on, let me go check now. I know I didn't. I don't know. Good question.
I can't use my shoulder.
A number of Asian countries have numbers, numerical numbers. For example, China, 4 is the number that they fear.
Fear.
just a coincidence. Lorraine was born on Friday the 13th in December, and her mother died on Friday the 13th in December.
Wow. I hope different years. I hope different years.
Oddly enough, today is Friday the 13th, and next month, the 13th is also gonna fall on Friday, which will happen to be my 95th birthday.
So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did putting it together. And yeah, if anybody has any other thoughts on the 13th or discovers anything else, feel free in future weeks to say, hey, look what I found. I'm gonna look up some stuff also. I'm curious.
Could you tell us a little more about the programs you used?
Oh, sure.
So maybe we can
The reason why
learn some stuff.
and when I was working, I was in advertising. Not one of the creative people who came up with it, sitting around coming up with ideas, but I was in something called media planning. And we did presentations all the time for clients of, here's the budget, here's who you want to reach, and then putting together something explaining who you reach by what TV shows, this and that, analyzing the target audience. So I did tons and tons of presentations. In fact, going before the computers, I did them first on acetates. You type things out on paper, then they would copy it onto plastic and you'd use an overhead projector, which was really primitive. Then we went to actual slides, which meant it had to be perfect, because you're putting it on a slide, you couldn't change it. And then you'd have a typo on a slide that was like, oh my God, look at that, a typo. It's locked in there permanently. But, so I'm used to doing these things. I love putting together these kind of things. I used ChatGPT to start because, not to put the thing together, but I just started by saying, give me examples of how 13th became superstitious. And it gave me a whole bunch of ideas to start. And then, what is 13, the importance in Judaism? And then from that, I found pictures, I developed it, I wrote it up myself. But that's a great place to just start. Because if you use a basic Google search engine, it'll give you websites to look at, as opposed to the AI stuff really thinks about it and says, here's how you can do a great, and I told them, it's to a senior group who's mostly Jewish, and they said, okay, one of the funny things is, when I had the picture of the Friday the 13th movie, and when I said I want to put that in, it said, oh no, that's too scary. You don't want to, it's okay. I'm not showing any blood and guts pictures, it's just illustrating one. It said, okay, but it said, don't take a picture of the page, make it smaller so it doesn't seem overwhelming.
With many of the Latin American countries, 15 is the big age for girls, the quinceañera. It's like a wedding. And here, sweet 16 is important for girls. So people have favorite numbers.
Mm-hmm. I wonder when bat mitzvahs came about. How long ago was it?
1925,
Really?
yeah. The first bat mitzvah was the daughter of the guy that started Reconstruction Judaism. I forgot his name,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the first bat
Mordecai
mitzvah.
Kaplan.
Yes. Is that what you made?
Rabbi
No.
A Kaplan.
Mordecai Kaplan was the rabbi.
They didn't send girls to school.
His daughter married a guy who was a rabbi, and they lived in Woodstock for many years.
Wow.
Ira Eisenstein was the son-in-law.
Married them.
Yeah.
Eisenstein.
I wonder, during the women's movement, like in the 60s and 70s, did that take off then? That more people said, okay, I'm doing a bat mitzvah with my daughter?
Yes.
More. Before that, girls just had confirmations. They didn't have bat mitzvahs.
And it's called now B'nai Mitzvot. It's
Really?
for both, referring to both the bar and or bat mitzvah.
Really?
B'nai Mitzvot.
I didn't know this, and I'm just looking it up, but you mentioned about the number 13 in elevators and apartments. So in China, I'm sorry, Japan and China, the number 4 is missing. Number 4 is missing in parking lots. and in buildings
Mhm.
and elevators. The number 4, tetraphobia.
I wonder if it applies to other stuff as well, like,
Fear of falling.
do they not have 4 people at a dinner? You know, it's gotta be 3 or 5 or whatever.
Oh, that's why they have those lazy Susans. They eat a lot. A large group eats a lot.
Can't have 4 sushi pieces, always gotta be 6. Who knows? Possible.
I lived on the 14th floor. It was really the 13th.
Yeah, our apartment was on the 14th floor and there was no 13.
When I was turning 13, which was back in 1955, I was in the 7th grade, and girls were just starting to get bat mitzvah then. Back then in 1955, that was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Did you get bar mitzvah?
No, I didn't, because my birthday was in January, and I didn't really find out. The first girl that got bat mitzvahs was in the spring, and then I realized that it was starting to happen. But in about 6 months before my birthday, my parents went to a Friday night service, and they never did. Usually they only went on the high holy days. And the rabbi came up to me afterwards and said, you know, I could teach you to read out of the Torah, and then you could do that on your 13th birthday. And I didn't know what it meant, so I just said, thanks, but no thanks. And then I later found out that, you know, there was the presents and, you know, all the people involved, and then I was sorry that I hadn't done it.
You could do it now.
Dave and I participated in an adult B'nai Mitzvah, what, I don't know, 40s, 50s, I don't remember how old we were.
No, in our 40s and 50s.
50s, right.
It was 1983, I believe.
83? Yeah, it was a group of adults.
Yeah. And actually, technically, the first time you're called to the Torah, you are having a Bar Mitzvah. That is it. That's all it takes for you to be called to the Torah and do the blessings. And if you're physically unable to do the blessings, such as a person with a physical or mental handicap, just standing up there and doing it and having somebody else say the blessing for you is enough. We had somebody who was 93 who had his bar mitzvah for the first time in our synagogue.
Yeah, and what is it, 83 when you're 4 whatever it is, you can have your second bar mitzvah. Because it's a normal lifetime plus 13 more years.
Well, 13 is not unlucky for America. You know, the first flag. How many colonies became states? Right? 13. So we're in trouble now.
Yeah, I remember my Uncle Seymour in his 50s got bar mitzvah, and I remember him saying, today I have a fountain pen.
Yeah.
Apparently that was a gift that they gave way back.
Yeah.
That's a very old joke.
Nowadays it's a yacht.
Steve, I don't know you, and I'm curious to know some of your background and how you came to become interested in this subject.
And how I got interested in this subject was just, I noticed
Excuse me?
I noticed we had Friday the 13th coming up. And
Well, it's coming up it's today, and it's
Yeah.
coming up next month.
And I thought, maybe there's something interesting that would be good.
Does it derive at all from your background in any way? Your interests?
Always looking for things, and I do a lot of stuff, when I come up with night guys, look for it online to learn more about it. And, you know, being part of the committee, looking for things to do here, I thought, we were just trying to come up with what kind of ideas would be good, and I said, hey, 13, maybe there's something there, that's all.
Yeah, and also hoping, just, I haven't done it yet myself, but looking on ChatGPT and other things may make it a little easier for the research to be done. So if you want to give a presentation, you're less and less dependent on the library and all that kind of stuff, unfortunately. You just gotta be careful and verify, don't accept everything.
I just have a technical question. ChatGPT, is it, do you have to subscribe to it?
Israel works.
And is it much better than just going to Google and Wikipedia?
Completely different, because with ChatGPT, I do the paid version because I use it so much. But there's a free version where you can use it. At some point, if you're using it a lot, it says, oh, I'm freezing you for 24 hours, and you do that to entice you to pay more for it. But I use it a lot, so I like having it for $19.95. I get like unlimited usage of it. I use it to do paintings and all kinds, you can do all kinds of stuff. But for the basic stuff, the difference is, regular Google, if you ask it a question, it'll say, or Wikipedia, it'll say, here's a page about the topic that you're interested in. With ChatGPT, you can say, give me an outline of a presentation. I want a 30-minute talk to some Jewish seniors, you know, at this kind of a community about this topic. And in 5 seconds, it'll lay out 10 different things, and it'll say, would you like me to add a couple of jokes? Would you like me to do this? Would you like that? And you tailor it, and it'll literally give you a script. I've used it to come up with cool ideas for movies. If you have like an idea for a movie script, you can say, this is why writers are scared about this. You can say, give me a 3-page outline of a movie script about this, 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 and this. It'll say, here it is, in 2 seconds. It basically, it's smart, and it has access to everything that's out there online, and they've designed it to think like a human, but it's all what you put into it. Medical issues, we have seen now where I've got blood tests. I put in the information about my blood test, and it says, in clear language, here's what that means. Which you can't get from calling your doctor.
No.
And it gives you a clear summary of what it is. And then you can say, explain this a little better. What if this happens? What if I do this? You're not going to use it for medical advice, but you can use it for clear explanation of anything. Because it just has access to everything that's out there.
Steve, you didn't answer my question. Maybe people know you, I don't know you at all. What sort of a background do you have?
Oh,
Where'd you grow up?
only child, grew up in the Bronx, in the projects.
That's why he's.
In 1955, I was born. Lived there for about 14 years, then we moved to Co-op City, a big development in the Bronx. And then moved to Manhattan a little bit, then I met Raman. When we got married, we moved to Queens for many years. Then about 13 years ago, we moved up to Rosendale, and we've been here for a year and a half.
And what sort of work, what kind of work did you do in your life?
Yeah, in advertising. I was media director of an ad agency. And for the last 15 years or so I was working, 18 years, I worked in an interesting place called Uniworld Group, which was a multicultural ad agency, Black-owned ad agency. And all we did was Black and Hispanic targeted advertising. And 3/4 of the people there were Black, and the rest was some Asian, Hispanic, and it was me and a few other, non-ethnic people. And it was interesting. It exposed me to a lot of stuff and learning about the culture and what kind of properties were out there. But that's basically it.
Steve, I wonder how you compare ChatGPT to Claude.
Oh, that's interesting. Those are the two I've been using.
Okay.
Claude is good for certain things, but I find for getting factual information, ChatGPT is much better. I asked them both questions. We were watching the Super Bowl the other day, and there was an ad for I forget the name, but Google has one of these also. So I went on Google, and I said, I posted a picture of our current dog and a dog that left us a year and a half. And I said, give me a picture of them in uniforms like the two teams on the field. And it did a terrible job. And then I went back to my pal, ChatGPT, and it did an incredible job. And in fact, I printed it out, and I have it at home. I'm gonna frame it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And in about 2 minutes, and then it said, would you like their names on the uniforms? Would you like this? Would you like that? It just spits it out.
Interesting.
And if you don't use if you use the basic version, after a couple of those, it uses up so much, it says, wait a day or pay up.
Since you were in advertising, what do you think of the revival of the Chevrolet commercial?
The dinosaur one?
The dinosaur and see the USA in your Chevrolet, it's back. I've never heard it back.
Well, a lot of commercials these days use, use music from the 60s and 70s.
That's from the 50s.
Yeah, that's true, that's even older. Yeah, and you don't see that many, there aren't any more jingle writers. You don't have commercials with jingles anymore. So maybe it'll be a resurgence in that sort of thing.
Well, they stopped the way they were paying the jingles. You used to get paid every time your commercial played.
Right.
And then about 10 years ago, they changed it so that you only get a one-time fee.
Wow.
So it's not lucrative anymore.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
I was so surprised to hear it. It's not as good as dinosaur.
But I recognize, absolutely.
Well, I'm primarily an artist, I'm a painter, and, but I've also, in the last couple of years, I've started to write poetry. What I thought was poetry anyway. And, so I write a poem, I select the poem, I then select copy, and then I open up Claude AI, and I ask Claude AI, would you suggest improvements to my poem? And within moments, it has made several suggestions. It is amazing how quick it can respond and how useful some of the comments are, because I'm not an English major, and it picks up all my spelling errors and my other technical issues, and it's very helpful. I'm a little suspicious, and it's very strange that some entity could be so convincing in terms of, what suggestions it makes.
Is it AI?
Excuse me?
Yeah. It's AI?
Claude AI. And at this point, it's free. It's like having an unpaid editor help me writing my poems. And at some point, I may do a presentation of several of my poems here.
Would be good. Jewish themed, right?
Yes, I was born into a Jewish family. Yes. So you can consider me a Jewish artist, I suppose.
There we go.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
That was ChatGPT.
Yeah, in like 2 minutes it did that.
Is that precious?
So you told it to put each dog in.
I gave it a picture of my two dogs,
Oh, you gave a picture.
and I said, put it on the field with Super Bowl, and it came up with this first, and
Wow.
it's amazing.
It's so cute.
Because I have another one that, once they clear up all the construction here, it's gonna be put on the wall of the card room of the two dogs playing poker with other dogs. And but they don't wanna put it up yet while the construction's going on.
Steve,
Yeah.
there's so many dogs here, you think if we get pictures of all the dogs, you can get that picture done with all our Woodland Pond dogs?
Absolutely, sure.
That would be fun.
I mean, you could do all kinds of crazy things. You can have pictures of people here in a toboggan going down, I guess, you know, what, at the Olympics, you can do whatever you want, and it's amazing to just have fun with them and to see what it comes up with.
Okay.
Thank you, this was really fun.
Yes.
Welcome. Thanks for
Yes, spread the word that we had a great time here.
Yes.
And talk to Steve about whatever it is the AI he's talking about, and I can't even remember the name of the other one. Norm. Well, you're Norman, I know, but the name of the Claude.
Claude AI.
Claude AI, okay. Talk to them about it, not me. Okay, so we're gonna have the candle lighting and the wine now. So if you don't wanna stay, you can go, and remember to turn your cell phones on again, okay?